Hey, so today I'd like to teach you about a bit of a school, right? A school of magic that Levi teaches about. Now, the name of this school of magic is, well, not really a school of magic, but rather a style of magic that Levi teaches. Now, it goes by a few names. Now, some people, and I used to call it the gambler. The gambler. But later at some point I started calling it the card shark. And then, even later, the Deckmaster. So, yeah, I should rewrite this. But, and the purpose of this class, this school, this profession. How about fighting style? Yeah, the purpose of this fighting style was for power and insecurity. Now, this was Levi, right? Due to this being Levi content, this was after I discovered, I think this was after I discovered Dungeons and Dragons. I'm pretty sure it was. It might have been before that, but even if it was before I discovered D&D, I did know about, the deck of many things. And I thought, okay, deck of many things, why don't we make a whole class about that? So, actually, now I'm wondering, does Pathfinder have a deck of many things? I'm wondering, let's look that up. Now, yeah, it does. Yeah, there is a deck of many things. Indeed, in Pathfinder, there's a Pathfinder one as well, which is interesting. But in any case, yeah, at some point, there was a whole class made about the deck that Levi wrote. Yeah, Levi came up with a whole fighting style about it. Now, the way that it works is that let's say there's a deck, right? A deck of cards. Now, it won't be a deck of cards like this, it'll be a special magical deck. But for the cases of explaining it for this, I'm just going to use a deck of regular playing cards. And so, let's say I just turn it over, right? And then I draw this one that's peeking out here. That's a 9 of hearts. Now, with this 9 of hearts, it might correspond with something, or it might not. And so, what the Deckmaster would do is that they would take a card, take it out of the deck, and then throw it. Throw the card. And then when this card was thrown, it would activate an effect. The effect would depend based on what the card was, and also the power level of this Deckmaster. Now, one of the advantages is that a deck is randomized. And so, even though you can have lower power than the standard spells cast by that Deckmaster, right? Or, well, I should say, you would normally have the less powerful spells in the deck than another user of the same power level would cast, but you also have higher level spells. Because just as in a deck, you have threes in a deck, but then you also have kings, right? And in this case, it's the same suit, so it's, yeah, I like that. Yeah, but you have threes, but you also have kings, and you know what? I should probably get out a two. Let's see if I can find a two of spades. There we go. Two of spades, right? Two. You got the lowest card is the two, and the highest card would be probably an ace, actually. But I don't feel like looking for the ace, so the king. Yes, the king. And so that is, of course, affecting the magic. Now, you might wonder, okay, what would happen for a two, right? Well, for the Deckmaster, because there's multiple kinds of things that the Deckmaster could do. I should say, multiple different schools of teaching for how a Deckmaster should behave. Now, in some of them, it is the deck would just cast forth random effects, and so then the suit would not really matter, right? Because the deck, it could be good, could be bad, depending on, of course, what, just like the deck of many things would happen, right? Just from the Pathfinder deck would have good effects, but also have bad effects. This can too. It has good and bad effects, but they're different ones. You might think, oh, okay, but isn't this just the magical artifact? And well, yes, it is, but the thing is that it's not like this is a, it's not like you are an adventurer, you know, who can honestly, I started drawing this and then I forgot what I was drawing. That's unfortunate, but if you were an adventurer who, like some hero who's trying to defeat, I don't know, what demon or something, then you might just stumble upon a deck at some point, but you might, well, these users is so that's their whole thing. This deck, it's not an artifact that they just pick up somewhere. This is, or it's not like Levi produces the decks. No. You see, these are regular decks of cards. Regular decks of cards. It's just that it is the user of, it's the Deckmaster which takes their magic and puts the magic into the card to make them have these effects, right? And so, let's just say the king, right, there's the two, there, okay, and there's the, two. Okay, king and two. So let's say, right, let's just, for example, let's say that for the king, right, that there could be maybe one hero becomes two through a cloning process. Let's just say that happens. It becomes two. And both of these, well, one of them works just as intended with all the autonomy of the first person. The second one is a separate conscious. Okay, that's just a clone. That's just, they work. They're both the same, and they have the same powers, and they're both, well, Deckmasters now. Right, let's just say that's what a king does, maybe. And so then over time, if you keep, eventually, one of them is bound to draw a king eventually, and so then that's, maybe they just keep making more. And so let's just say that if one clone, I don't know, maybe a Deckmaster can only have one clone at a time, or maybe especially powerful ones could have more. Right? Maybe that's how it is, and I mean, that would make sense. So yeah, let's just go with that. And so then, maybe there's a 2, right? Maybe a 2 would make it so that, you know, a good individual would become bad, right? I just use positive and negative sign for this, right? Let's say they become suddenly evil. They turn against their family, turn against their city, and they start making a big fuss, a big stink, making a big messing things up. Well, that would, yeah, that would kind of mess with people. That would be a pretty big change in their personality. But let's also say that, well, maybe this is like a werewolf transformation, right? Right? Maybe it's like a werewolf transformation, so that they can sometimes be good and then become evil and then go back to good. Maybe that's how it works, right? Maybe it's like a werewolf. I don't know, seems like a pretty good idea to me, you know? But there could be other choices, right? Maybe other things that the 2 could do. Maybe this is only the king of, maybe this is only the king of diamonds. And this is the 2 of diamonds. Maybe maybe other suits do different things, right? Probably that would make sense. And so that's just one version, right? That's just one version. Now this changes because maybe, just maybe, there are other maybe instead of drawing the cards and then it becomes a certain defined effect, maybe when you draw a card you can have a spell, I don't know, let me just use a lightning bolt, some motion lines, a lightning bolt appears, and then the card, let me just draw a, I don't know, what do I want to draw, maybe, maybe a sword with 2 circles. I don't know, just say sword and two rectangles. Maybe sword and 2 rectangles card absorbs it, and then the spell bounces off of it. Maybe that's what happens. Or maybe you might have another card, right? Let's say you have a card with a fish. There's my like 5-second drawing of a fish. Well, maybe this card, instead of, right, maybe this one has been enchanted with a spell such that it will allow you to breathe underwater. But the key is that sword with rectangles is an enchanted card. Fish card is an enchanted card. But the originally, let's say, the cards were blank, right? With 3 diamonds. 3 diamonds on a card, okay? Maybe that's what they look like originally, before there's anything cast into it, just an empty card. Well, then it could be infused with magic. It could be infused with the fish, or the sword in 2 rectangles. But then they're blank, and they take in a spell, and they hold it until it can be used, right? For this, might be reflection, or counter, or some spell. For this one might be breathe water, right? I don't know, some spell that Levi could cast, or that Levi might teach his disciples, right? And being able to store something that you did, maybe reflection makes it such that there's a barrier that can be produced over a ritual, and then as long as you're doing the ritual, it holds up the barrier. So then let's say that for this card, you just need to hold up the card, and it will reflect anything that comes at you by creating a shield. And then you held up the ritual, doing a ritual for a while to make the card like this. Or for the breathing underwater. Maybe you made, maybe you needed to do a ritual to bless someone with breathing underwater. So then you go through the ritual, right? And I'm just gonna... say that this is some kind of, like, bead necklace with a holy symbol on it. I don't really know what kind of holy symbol that would be. Let's just say it's the god of, like, Belor. Let's just say that's the god. Let's say that's the holy symbol of Belor. I don't know. Right? And so if Belor, maybe Belor is a water god. Pretty sure. Wait, let's see. Is Belor a water god? Pretty sure. Let's see. Because I know that they are the patron of Belos, their city, and Belos is on the intersection of 2 rivers, so I mean, yeah, like most of the city's stuff is powered by water, so yeah, I could see them being watery. Yeah, the city's whole economy is powered by the water wheels and dams, and yeah. 2 rivers meet into a bigger river. So yeah, I guess I could say that Belor is watery, and so yeah, maybe Belor gives water breathing. Okay, do a ritual with a Belor, you hold up the ritual, then you cast a blessing on someone, but instead of the target being somebody, it's the card, and so now the card holds it. So yeah, that holding power, that storage, could be another of the Deckmasters, right? But for this one, you actually have a bunch of cards, and you know what they do. But the thing about the Deckmaster with the king and the 2, you might think, oh, I draw a king for something, draw 2 for something. But that's the key. You're taking a deck and you're just drawing cards, because you don't see this. You don't see all the cards. You see the back. You see the other side. You just see it blank. You don't know what card you're drawing until the effect takes place. Now, that's the second version of the deck, right? But also, you might, there's also maybe okay. So first you have the holding power kind of school. You have the randomizer, right? Random effects kind of thing. But maybe another thing you might want is summoning. That is the third kind, right? That is the third kind of teaching that Levi would do. Summoning. So maybe, and let me draw another card from the deck. Let's see. Let me just turn this over to fan it out. That is the Jack of Spades. What would a Jack of Spades? Let's see. What would I think a Jack of Spades? Not something too strong. Maybe, maybe a gladiator, you know, like a gladiatorial knight, you know, like from those like Roman arenas, right? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I see this Jack, see him holding his little, I don't know, sword-looking thing. Though, I mean, the king actually has a sword. He has a sword, the Jack is just little whatever that thing is. Yeah, I should hold it up. You see that? Yeah, that's better for the sword, and then that. Yeah, I just want to get you a nice close look at what these cards are, so you know what I'm talking about. And this, that little sword thing that he's holding. So let's say with the Jack that it summons a gladiator. Okay, gladiator can probably fight pretty well. Very nice. Let's draw another card. Five of Hearts. Now this won't be as powerful because first of all it's not a royal card, and second it's well, not only is it not a royal card, but it's also a 5, which is lower, right? Lower than maybe a 10, right? So let's say let's say it summons 2 skeletons. Well, 2 skeletons, a gladiator can probably take each of them down in a single hit of its spear, right? Yeah, but 2 skeletons are not going to fight as well. But of course, it's not near the power, of course, that same 2 that I drew earlier, which might summon like a frog. So sure, yeah, a nice, good mid-level, you know, a nice mid-level one, right? Maybe let's compare this to Pathfinder levels, right? Let's just compare this to Pathfinder levels and say that a mid-level card, a mid-level Deckmaster of summoning might be level 10, right? Let's just say that is the middle of the levels in Pathfinder. Let's just say that is, right? Maybe so let's, you know, and if you do play Pathfinder, then there you can have a benchmark for about how strong in comparison, you know, just for the world it should be, right? Because numbers, not really numbers, right? It's not like these have stats. It's not like it's a Pathfinder skeleton or like a Pathfinder gladiator. I don't know if Pathfinder has a gladiator stats or not, but you know, story, you know, in the story, right? And so, yeah, like 2 might summon a frog, 5 might summon 2 skeletons, and Jack might summon a gladiator. But it's the whole card user, gambler, card shark, Deckmaster. It's about the randomness, right? For this, well, maybe if you absorb your enemy spells into your cards, you don't know what you're gonna get until the enemy casts their spell, so you can't really plan around that. At least. You can't until you have the spell, and then you could, of course, think, oh yes, I can use a lightning bolt later for this one, for the randomizer, random, you know, stuff, random deck occurrences, effects over here, of course, based around, of course, similar to the Pathfinder deck and many things, it can be anything. Could be good, could be bad for you. Good or bad. And then, of course, you have summoning, where could be something strong, like a gladiator, could be something alright, like 2 skeletons, or it could be something weak, like a frog. But, all in all, it is useful. It is a useful class. It can probably be used. It's pretty useful fighting style. Pretty useful school of magic. If one cares more about just causing stuff to happen, right? Like, stuff. Because it's not that they're not really controlling it, it's just they're not really determining if a good thing happens. Because you draw a card, oh, you don't know what you're gonna get. Could be a bad thing, could be a good thing. But in any case, it's a thing happening. And so for those who just want stuff to happen, and they want big dramatic stuff to happen, and well, if you draw a high card, dramatic stuff happens. If you draw a low card, dramatic stuff might happen too. Just depends on what kind of deck you've chosen. So, that concludes my explanation of Levi's teachings in the art of deck mastery. Thank you. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay zesty.